Gi-hun should have died a lot. From deadly games to last-second saves, he barely made it through Squid Game. And in this video, we're breaking down every moment he was inches from death. Starting with his first close call in episode 1, Gi-hun's first near-death moment happened minutes into the Squid Game. And let's be real, he should have been the first one eliminated. At the start, nobody knows what they've signed up for. It's red light, green light, a simple kid's game, right? But then the first player moves after red light, and bang, someone drops dead on the spot. Now, you'd think this would be the moment everyone realizes something's wrong, but no, the players just stand there, looking at the body, confused, until the next person moves. Bang, another player down. That's when all hell breaks loose. People start sprinting for the exit, and the gunfire doesn't stop. Players are dropping like flies, and Gi-hun? He's just standing there in absolute shock. But then, he makes his first mistake. He trips. At this moment, he's done. He's falling. The doll is about to turn around. The snipers are locked in. And just when you think it's over, Ali, aka Player 199, reaches out and grabs him mid-fall. If Ali hadn't saved him, Gi-hun's Squid Game story would have ended right there. This is just the first time Gi-hun was supposed to die, and if you think this was a close call, wait until you see what happens in the next round. At this point, Gi-hun knows the Squid Game is dangerous, but what he doesn't realize, the games don't stop when the lights go out. After a brutal round, the guards give players a tiny meal, an egg and water. Not enough to survive, but just enough to cause conflict. That night, Jang Deok-soo and his gang decide to eliminate the competition themselves. The lights go out, chaos erupts. Players are fighting, stabbing, and killing each other. Gi-hun is completely unprepared. Out of nowhere, player 413 swings a metal bar straight at his head. This should have been game over. But Ali and Sang-woo react just in time, grabbing the attacker mid-swing. Before Gi-hun can breathe, player 113 rushes him with a knife, but Sang-woo tackles him away. At this point, it's total carnage. Gi-hun and his allies barely hold their ground. And then, everything stops. Not because the guards step in, not because Deok-soo shows mercy. It stops because player 1 begs for it to stop. Standing on his bunk, shaking, Il-nam pleads for his life. And suddenly, the front man ends the riot. Wait, what? Out of all the people screaming for help, why did the staff only listen to him? At the time, Gi-hun is just relieved to be alive, but looking back, that moment was our first clue that Il-nam wasn't just another player. And from here, things only get worse. By this point, Gi-hun has survived death twice, once during red light, green light, and again in the dormitory riot. But this time, survival isn't just about luck, it's about strength. And Gi-hun's team? They don't stand a chance. They're facing a group of stronger men, and their own lineup consists of 2 women, an old man, and a bunch of nobodies. From the moment they step onto the platform, it looks like a guaranteed death sentence. The game starts and the other team pulls hard. Gi-hun's squad is yanked forward, skidding toward the edge. Their feet slip, their hands burn. They're seconds away from being pulled to their deaths. And that's when Sang-woo does something insane. Wait, what? That sounds like a death wish, but with no other options, they do it, and it works. The other team completely loses balance, stumbling forward. That's all the opening they need. Gi-hun's team pulls with everything they have, and just like that, their opponents fall. They shouldn't have won. They should have died right there, but Il-nam's strategy and Sang-woo's last-minute risk saved them. Gi-hun barely gets a chance to celebrate because the next game, it's even deadlier. Gi-hun has survived brutal games and near-death fights, but this time, there's no physical challenge, just a bag of marbles and a heartbreaking choice. The players pair up, thinking they'll work as a team, but then the guards reveal the twist. Only 1 player per pair will survive. Gi-hun is up against Il-nam, the frail old man who has helped him before. At first, Gi-hun is relieved. Surely he can beat him, but then he starts losing. Il-nam, despite his age, keeps guessing correctly. 1 more loss, and he's dead. With no other options, he cheats. Il-nam's mind is slipping. He forgets the score, the turns, even where he is, and Gi-hun takes advantage of it. He lies, convincing Il-nam to hand over his last marble, but right before Il-nam gives it up, he stops and says, he knows, he knew the whole time. And yet, He lets Gi-hun win. Gi-hun should have been the one to lose, but Il-nam's mercy saved him. And if you thought this moment was emotional, wait until you see how Gi-hun almost dies next. The game started with 456 players. Now, only 2 remain. And the final challenge? A brutal, no-rules deathmatch. The guards draw a large, squid-shaped outline in the dirt. The final game has begun. Gi-hun faces Sang-woo, his childhood friend turned biggest enemy. The rules are simple. One must kill the other to win. Gi-hun fights with everything he has. But Sang-woo, he fights to kill. Early on, Sang-woo stabs Gi-hun in the leg. Blood pools in the dirt as he stumbles back, barely holding his ground. Then, Sang-woo lunges, knife raised, ready to end it. This should be it. But Gi-hun catches the knife mid-strike, gripping the blade with his bare hands. Blood drips from his fingers, but he doesn't let go. He refuses to die. Adrenaline kicks in. Gi-hun fights back, knocking Sang-woo to the ground. He grabs the knife and stands over him. This is his chance. He can win right now, but he doesn't. Instead of finishing Sang-woo, he drops the knife. Gi-hun walks to the finish line, ready to invoke the rule that lets them both walk away. But Sang-woo stops him. Then he stabs himself. He collapses into Gi-hun's arms, barely breathing as the rain washes the blood away. Just like that, the game is over. Gi-hun barely won, not by killing but by holding on to his humanity. But even after surviving all 6 games, Gi-hun's closest brush with death was still to come. And this time, it wasn't part of the Squid Game at all. Gi-hun thought his nightmare was over. He won the games, he survived, but even outside, death was still waiting for him. After refusing to spend his prize money, Gi-hun becomes obsessed with taking down the Squid Game. His search leads him to a familiar face, the recruiter who first lured him into the competition. This time, Gi-hun isn't playing Dokji. He's playing Russian roulette. Inside a dimly lit room, a revolver sits between them. The rules are simple. Each takes turns pulling the trigger, knowing there's one bullet inside. Gi-hun's hands shake as he picks up the gun. If the bullet is in the chamber, it's over. Click. Nothing. He's safe. The recruiter smirks, spinning the gun toward himself. Another pull. Click. Still empty. Round after round they keep going. The odds of survival shrink with every turn. Gi-hun is sweating, heart pounding. If luck runs out, he won't be waking up. Then, the recruiter hesitates. The gun is in his hand. He can feel the weight of the next shot. And instead of pointing it at Gi-hun, he turns it on himself. Without a word, he pulls the trigger. Bang! The recruiter drops dead. Gi-hun stares, frozen. He should be the one lying on the floor, but once again he survives. Barely. But this time, survival isn't a victory. It's a warning. Gi-hun just stepped into a war, and next time he might not be so lucky. Gi-hun is back in the Squid Game, and this time teamwork is the only way to survive. The next challenge? A 6-legged pentathlon. 5 players, tied together, forced to complete 5 different childhood games. If even one person fails, the entire team is eliminated. Gi-hun's team starts strong. They clear the first 3 games fast, staying ahead of the clock. But then they hit a wall. The 4th game, Ping Chi-ji, requires spinning atop. Sounds simple, except their designated player keeps fumbling. Seconds tick by. Gi-hun can feel it. They're running out of time. He tries to coach him, screaming for focus, but it's not working. The top wobbles, almost spins, then drops. They're doomed. Then, a miracle. Player 1 grabs the rope binding them together and yanks. The sudden shift snaps their teammate into focus. He spins the top perfectly, just in time. Now it's all on Gi-chagi. One player must kick a shuttlecock 5 times without dropping it. 4 kicks go perfectly. Then, on the 5th, he miscalculates. He's about to fail. But again, player 1 pulls the rope. Gi-hun's foot swings at the last second, and he lands the final kick. They sprint for the finish line, crossing with barely a second left. Gi-hun should have been eliminated twice, but this time he didn't even realize who was saving him. Gi-hun has played the long game. This isn't about survival anymore. It's about stopping the Squid Game for good. He and a handful of allies stage an uprising. The plan? Together, they plan their next move, waiting for the right moment. Then the riot begins. Players overpower the guards, rushing toward the control room. For the first time, the game is losing control. But then, Young-il's voice crackles through the walkie-talkie. Before Gi-hun can process what's happening, a gunshot rings out. Silence follows. It sounds like Young-il has been killed in the chaos. Gi-hun believes he just lost his closest ally. But the truth? It was all a lie. Young-il faked his death. He never intended to end the games. He was working with them all along. Within minutes, the guards retaliate. The rebellion is crushed in an instant. Gi-hun is ambushed, thrown to the ground, a gun pressed to his head. Then, the front man steps forward. Gi-hun looks up, trying to see past the mask, but the front man doesn't reveal his face. Instead, he taunts Gi-hun. Gi-hun doesn't answer. He's seething, helpless. The plan is over. The rebellion has failed. And then, the worst moment yet. The front man raises his gun and points it straight at Gi-hun's head. But then, without warning, the front man suddenly turns and shoots Young-bae instead. Young-bae collapses, lifeless. Gi-hun screams in rage. He lunges, but the guards hold him back. He should be dead too, but the frontman lets him live just to make him suffer. The rebellion is over. The games continue. And Gi-hun? He's more broken than ever. With Gi-hun still alive, one question remains. Why is Gi-hun kept alive? The frontman clearly had every reason to kill him, yet he didn't. Could they have bigger plans for him? Could Gi-hun be part of something even worse than the games? What if Gi-hun turns evil? After losing everything, Gi-hun might be on a path of no return. Could revenge twist him into something just as ruthless as the frontman? With the salesman dead, someone has to take his place. What if Gi-hun is forced into becoming a recruiter just to survive? Would he turn others into victims like he once was? Whatever happens, one thing is clear. Gi-hun's story is far from over. And speaking of players breaking the rules, Gi-hun might have played fair, but not everyone did. Some were willing to cheat, steal, and manipulate their way through the games. If you thought this was brutal, wait until you see just how far some players went to survive. Click here to see every single player who cheated in Squid Game.